Well, hello, beautiful humans, and welcome to the Transgender Mentor podcast, going live right after Recovery Soul Food. So, this is going to be a continuation of a deeper experience, deeper truth conversation. And I'm so grateful and honored to get the opportunity to come off of one amazing conversation with one of my favorite human beings to right into another amazing conversation with another one of my favorite human beings, my co-host and friend Pamela Topjian. Man, I tell you, there's I just feel like the most just blessed human being just to have people like this and so many of you in my experience. It's just amazing. And to also realize that as I look at my life and the people in my life, the vibration of those people are a direct mirror image of my own vibration and my own frequency and my own self love and and just my own wellness. So, if you're ever wondering, how you're truly vibrating, just look at your tribe around you. What are the common themes? And if you've got people that are surrounding you with hearts that are just full to love you and full because they love themselves and just are just so into knowing their own best life and helping you achieve yours and just being a beautiful mirror to you, man, there's nothing better than that. And so watch your tribe, watch your, if you want to see your vibe, check out your tribe and then start, you know finding, just making better choices for yourself. And when you start working inside of you, you start vibrating different. And the people in your life that you attract are much different. So I'm a blessed human being to get to have this episode of the Transgender Mentor podcast with my beautiful friend, Miss Pamela Topjian. So if you're super ready to get into this, as I am too, then we are both ready. So let's. Pamela,
Hey,
how
friend.
are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I am wonderful. I am again just still kind of swooning from my dance with Martin John, ready to
I
just
know.
twist into this dance with you. And it's fitting to me because, we talked a lot in that episode about, how how Martin John sees, himself as an ally, what makes him an amazing ally. And I
Mhm.
want to get into that with you as well, in this, and then also that deeper trans experience. When we're talking to, my passion that I've learned through all of this whole process is that I just want to help other, trans people be able to experience themselves in
Oh,
the
yeah.
same way. And I think that it's so important because anything, again, that we build on the outside of us, expecting to hold our happiness, is what
Yeah.
takes us deeper into the types of depressions and hopelessness that we feel in places. And I see so many people that now regret that that they made these big mistakes with their body. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but they feel they did because I think they probably built too much happiness on that was going to be the thing.
Yeah. I
And
think too
so,
that people feel like, it was hard enough to tell the world. And
oh
as
man.
Martin John said, you go through this transition
Mhm.
in the public eye,
Yeah.
not even mentioning your family. It's a
Mhm.
lot to have to, I don't know if it's, the right terminology is to come out to, because it's not necessarily gay or not, but it's more of
Mhm.
just coming out as trans, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so, standing up for yourself and saying, "This is who I am, and I'm so sure of
Mhm.
it, and this is what's going to get me out of this depression or help me in my recovery or whatever
Yeah.
it is." And then they find out, wait, there's more to it than just
Yeah.
than just
Yeah.
the
Yes.
transitioning. Not to say that people don't feel truly male or female, or
Mhm.
truly gender fluid, non-binary, but that's not that end all secret
Yeah.
to their
Exactly.
recovery, or to their,
Yeah.
recovery, not only addiction, as again, as Martin John talks about, the, recovery from your depression, your anxiety, your dark place, so
Yes.
that
Yeah.
recovery too is not, the answer to that is not
Right.
to transition.
Right, and
Yeah.
it's not the only answer,
Not the
it's like
only, right.
it seems like we seek out these answers and we want them to be, one and done. Just give me a quick tell me
Yeah.
what kinda list to write so I can write this list and start
Right,
living
right,
my best life, you know?
right.
And
And
those
and we grew up like that. I mean, I
Yeah.
know, take an aspirin, and they have baby aspirin. It's like, oh, the kid's crying, let's give him some gas drops. Let's give him some aspirin, And that starts when you're very young,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's just the kind of society we are. We're not, taught to look deeper.
I'm so grateful that we are shifting into a society that is beginning to start looking deeper, and I'm
Yeah.
so grateful to be on this edge of it, in being able to be aware of
Yeah.
watching what's occurring because so many people are they've done the lists now. So they've all read all the manifestation books and they've made all the lists and they've got all the, all the advisors
All the
and they're
magic
finding
tricks.
out exactly. They've used all the tricks and now they're finding out that it was all empty, that those
Mm,
tricks were just temporary and that it's
right.
really all empty and they are in the process of wanting more, and I'm so
Yeah.
grateful to be among some of the most amazing human beings
Oh my
that
gosh.
say, "Hey, we know how to get more." Like, "Hey, we know how to we we know how to take you there." And,
Yeah. It's
I think
so
that's just an
amazing. Like you
honor.
said,
It is.
your vibe attracting your tribe. I mean, that's kind of a catchphrase kind of a thing, but
Right.
man, it's so true.
Oh,
It's
it
so
is.
true. And it's just
It
so
is.
amazing once you
It
really are
is.
aware. That's the word
Oh, it
for it,
is.
and once you're
Yes.
aware, boy, it's just all around you, and it's just
Yes.
such a part of your life that
Yes.
you can't not be aware anymore. You
Right.
can't lose that, or
Yeah,
it's
you
it
can't.
probably takes a lot to lose that, once you're
Yeah,
there. It's like once you're down in
absolutely.
that dark space, it's like you know what that's like, no matter how long you've been
Yeah,
out of it, you know what it's
yeah,
like down there.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
for
same for
sure.
me.
Yeah, it's like, that little the swamp tour, analogy is that once you start to see and that awareness just opens up, it starts to be present in
Mm,
everything. And so,
definitely.
all of the things and the scenarios that you built your life or your security or your happiness upon,
Yeah.
you know, I think the answer is not to when it crashes down to be sad and destroyed, but to go
Yeah.
deeper than that and say, why is this crashing down?
Right.
And
Look
what
at the
is,
opportunity. Look at the,
yeah,
yeah, what is this showing me?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
There's a
yes.
reason
How,
for it.
yes. And once we as a society begin to recover ourselves and find our divinity within, we that's when we no longer have room for things like hate in
Yeah.
a way that, is for a way that something someone else is doing, because
Yeah.
me being trans is not doing anything to the person that
Yeah.
opposes that is all within him, that is
Yeah.
absolutely all within this person.
Right.
And I don't have to the awareness brings the freedom to know that I don't have to absorb
Right.
his beliefs or whatever resistance he has
Right.
for what I bring up in him, and I don't have to own
Yeah.
that. Like, I don't have to hold that. I'm
Yeah.
not so identified with being
Right.
trans that I have got to fight every
Right.
opposer,
Right.
to my transness so that I can be okay with being trans. And I
Right.
think that's the place that we're trying to
That is
get.
the
That's where I
place.
want the trans community to get,
Oh gosh.
is
Yeah.
to that place where, we don't have to fight anybody to
Right.
understand us. It's not necessary. Their understanding is absolutely not necessary
Yeah,
for
your
your
own light needs to
happiness.
you need to help your own light grow within you so that
Mm,
it surrounds you. So it can't be, that bubble can't be popped because somebody doesn't see it or doesn't agree with it. Okay, then
yes.
you're in the outside of that bubble then if you are, if you feel that way, okay, and it doesn't have to affect you. It's like, okay,
Yep.
I see that you're not part of this vibration, and that's
Yep.
okay because that's where you are right now on your journey and your path, and you
Yep.
know that's okay. We're all, we're all just walking each other home. I think that's
Yep.
Ram Dass that said that.
Yeah. And I'm glad I know where you live. I think about it. I'm glad I know where you live so I don't have to continuously walk through here.
Right,
But
right.
s- so I think that we are on our way to something very, very special. And again,
Mhm.
grateful to be a part of it. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I want to make sure that we talk about, because Martin gave us a very an open glimpse into his heart of when
Mhm.
he and how he felt about the trans community as a whole, really not caring about them being trans at all, that
Right.
they were human beings, basically
Just
publicly
that.
having to take care of their shit,
Yeah.
doing their own healing. And so that was what makes him such an amazing ally.
Mhm.
So I already really know the answer to this question, but maybe our audience doesn't. What is your allyship, about? Like, what does that mean to you? How do you see? What is the perception that you see with?
Well, it's seeing that inner light in everybody, even the haters, even the ones that are prejudiced and racist and everything. Just, we are all one, really. We are all one. We are all connected. And
Mm,
again, that sounds a little bit spiritually cliche, but I do totally
it's true.
believe that we are all part of this whole, existence together,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and there's no room for hate in there. There's no room for judgment in there. And when you can when you can see that souls are being shut down because of the hate, and I've said it in the beginning when we first started doing this as kind of a series. um One of the things that really struck my heart was knowing that the youngest victims of suicide are of the trans community, because these children recognize themselves as being different, or that's how
Mm-hmm.
they perceive themselves, or they're not really the little boy or girl that the world is telling them they are, or that they should try to be. And like you have said several times, you felt like God's little mistake. And that
Mm-hmm.
just really, really, touched my heart that children are, victims of suicide because of this. Your own family are, pushing people out on the streets, not caring what happens to them. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
really, somebody needs to stand up for that. And if I can help a little bit, I'm glad to do that. And it's not just about, trans people or the LGBTQ community. It's about noticing, we are, as I said, we're all one. So,
Mm,
just helping people to understand that is what I would, is my hope. I mean, and we
mm,
have said it before too, that talking about, um, the trans community going through their transition, wearing their stuff, their dirty laundry
yeah.
daily out
Yeah.
there in the public.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before with um, the what is it, the male to female
Yes.
transition,
Mhm.
trans folks, that's even harder for them, and we see
Yes.
it every day on social media, or I
Yeah.
do, you know, the kindest people, the people with the biggest hearts and the most loving light around them still get bullied because
Mhm.
they look a certain way that people are not comfortable with, or it's just, yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we're all part of the same
Yeah.
existence.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it seems like when we have hate for something in ourselves and we're judging someone else, we're always really judging ourselves, and there's always
Yeah, it's a
some
mirror for
type of hate.
sure.
It's always that. And it's easy to be able to point your finger at the object that brings this up within you and say
Yeah.
that's the reason. But if you will go past that again and
Mhm.
begin to ask those questions, because
Yeah,
what
why
we
am
got to
I feeling this
understand.
way? Yeah.
Right. Well, and what we got to know by now, since it's been since the beginning of time that trans people and
Yes.
LGBTQ plus people have been around, and different colors and religions and all that have been
Right.
around in the world. Nobody's going anywhere. So
Right.
it's like, do we continue more generations of perpetuating hate for what we perceive as different, or do we learn how to appreciate what we're looking at? Because when
Yeah.
I see another trans human being, like, I feel this kinship and I say thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you for inspiring me today to
Mm.
continue doing my work. And thank you for
Yeah.
doing your work. And thank you for being willing and strong enough and present enough to do your shadow work in front of
Right.
everyone, so that people can see this process being done in a
Yeah.
way that should give people hope.
Right, and to
And
know that it's not all a bed of roses, to know that this one
right.
aspect of you is not your whole
Yes.
being. Yeah.
Hmm. And that's what I think, that people that have such an issue within themselves, that's all
Mhm.
they can see. They cannot see it, and that's that perception of what they're seeing, and they're
Yeah.
not perceiving what's really happening. I say sometimes, I had a conversation with someone about the whole trans and biblical and religious stuff, and
Mm.
my question always came down to, how is it that you don't think that I am made,
Right.
precisely this way, for
Right.
this precise experience, to be
Yeah.
able to go deeper than ever before within myself, to know both masculine and feminine
Yeah.
in its much deeper form, to help bring in a transition of consciousness in a world that is absolutely desperate for acceptance,
Right.
and desperate for love, and desperate
Yeah.
for seeing each other as divinity, or
Yeah.
and just being able to come home to ourselves, like being so secure in ourselves and
Yeah.
happy where we are,
Well, look
no
who
matter
you
what that
are.
is.
Look who you are. And, as Martin John was talking about, the LGBTQ community ministry.
Yes.
And, we've talked about this, and I had a vision of you
Yes.
before I even knew this about you, but you need to do that. This is why you're here. And it's so obvious to me. And I'm sure to Martin John. And, my husband says the same thing. You are made for this. You have got to get this going. you know, this is a huge part of, you know, who you are and your purpose here. And it'll happen because it's just so obvious that it's meant to be. So, this is your purpose. So it's being trans is part of your purpose here, is part of why you were put here by
Well,
your own,
yeah.
creator. Yeah.
Own design, yeah, own design, because I think that's what makes my heart feel the most full. Like I said, it's just having public conversations
Hmm.
like these that we're having, so that people realize that they're not on an island of thought,
Yeah.
that we don't have to oppose and fight when we do oppose that, we the healing starts within, and we're more than just these external things. Martin John and I have
Right.
had these conversations a couple times where, you imagine yourself, people introducing themselves, and this is what I do, and this is what I do, and
Right.
and when we first met, Martin John and I, we were like, well, I don't know how to, what do I do? And Martin, over the time that I've gotten to know Martin, I've gotten to see Martin come into being able to say, without a shadow of a doubt, what it
Yeah.
is that he does. And I'm grateful to be working on that myself.
Mm.
And I just think that it's this, man. Like there's
Yeah.
it's I you, we just build so much. I built so much on that transition, and I
Mhm.
really thought, and I wasn't wrong, because I thought that going through that I was on my path to healing. I just didn't realize that it didn't stop there. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like
Right.
I wasn't
It was a
wrong.
part
I
of
just
it, just wasn't the whole of
right.
it. Yeah.
Right, and I didn't realize whenever I was in that first step, but, Martin was put there instrumentally to make sure that I
Yes.
went the
Yes.
the the route, and there will be more, I have no doubt.
Of
There's
course.
more coming.
Of course.
Without a doubt, there's
Yes.
more coming, but I'm grateful that we
There's
can all
always
share
more.
these things. There's always more. It's either we never get there,
Right.
you know? That had hope in it too. Well, I appreciate true allies. I really, really do. And I feel like I owe it to, my community, of other transhuman beings
Mhm.
to make sure that they are getting on this platform true allies that have a
Yeah.
heart that's different than needing to have a token trans friend, like we've
Right.
discussed before. Some people do want to have a token trans friend or a token gay friend, and
Mhm.
that's surface level kind of allyship, okay.
Mhm.
But when people can learn to see like what real deep, a human
Yeah.
ally looks like, that's what I want to bring.
Yeah.
Because real friends, I think, help you go deeper or push you for more, you
Yeah.
know. And that to me is a very positive aspect of a lot of the friends in my life right now. They
Yeah.
push me for more. And I want to push my community for more. Let's
Yeah.
push for more. Let's do things different. Let's work within ourselves.
Mhm.
Let's we are part of this human race, and let
Yeah.
us not buy into you know what we're told we have to be or only can be, or do things the same as they've always been done.
Right.
Let's bring in a new era. Let's bring in a new era of
Well, this whole, what's going on now, I don't want to say the new earth or anything because that's a little out there for a lot of people, but the we are going through a transition with this, we started with this pandemic, I think, and
mm,
obviously it's still kind of lingering, it's still kind of going on. There's been a lot of um division between people, whether it was politics, whether it was health stuff, whatever it was, and that gives people sort of a taste of what some LGBTQ folks go through because,
mm,
even just, um, you know, being beat up because you're wearing a mask when they think you shouldn't, or when you're not wearing a
mm-hmm,
mask because they think you should, or whatever it is, just little things like that, and whose business is it, like, like Martin John was saying too, that, he doesn't care, it's like, it's not it's not a matter for me. I don't, to say it doesn't matter to me. We need to take care of ourselves, and I don't know, it's kind of hard to say that in the right way, but you know you need to take if you take care of yourself, then your light is shining brighter. Then
yes,
you automatically ripple effect out to,
yes,
you know help care for others. The more you care for,
yes,
for yourself, because we are
yes,
all connected, the more you are caring for
yeah,
everybody. you know
yes,
and
yeah, and I,
Yeah, that's why you need to look within yourself to understand what's in my reality.
Yeah,
Where is my, whatever hate I have for whatever group of people,
yeah,
that has nothing to do with that group of people.
yes.
So where is that coming from? That's that root, that you guys are
Yeah,
talking about. Where is that root in me? And where did that come from? Who planted that
yeah,
seed? It all
yeah,
started with a seed somewhere, and it might not be a who, just like my mom or dad or whatever, but it
right.
might be a society or a group of people, or you know some
Yeah.
organization or something.
Yeah, growing up in the South, there's a
Hmm.
big common theme of how people believe, and,
Could not live there.
no, it's hard. It
Yes.
really is
Yeah.
hard, it is hard to live because, you build your defenses because you think, well, 8 out of 10 people I meet today are going to believe this certain
Yeah.
way or somewhere along this line. So, it is challenging. And I think that, so many times we hold on to the things that make us feel secure and
Yeah.
connected and comfortable, and that's where we do truly start to limit ourselves, is when we start to limit the types of experiences that
Hmm.
we can have, and when we start to limit our own thinking things through and awareness and just
Yeah.
taking what's there, because
Right.
we have these, especially well, I think in most countries there are these deeper family traditions where it
Right.
seems like the need to keep the old ways going,
Yeah.
and of course we've been going through that since Civil War. The South has been fighting for the old ways for a long time. So, that whole inability to break free of that, of course it's easier to just buy into that stuff. But is it the way you really, really feel? Like
Yeah,
in the
you drink the Kool-Aid, and you get
yeah,
a little red mustache, and now
yeah,
you're one of us.
yes,
So,
yes,
so
exactly,
I love my
exactly.
analogies, right?
I
So
love that. I love
so
that.
so then you know then you're showing that I'm not thinking for
Yeah,
myself, because I've
yeah,
got my little red mustache from the
yeah,
Kool-Aid. So
yeah,
I'm
I'm with
like one of
them.
all of you,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
now I belong here. But if I do
mhm,
start to challenge myself, then you almost block that. People almost block that, because now I'm not a part of this community if I'm starting to rub that mustache off a little bit, if I'm starting to think for
yeah,
myself and clean myself off inside and out from that
yeah,
Kool-Aid.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a challenge, and I think that's part of me, sort of coming to this place in my life, is that I've never had, I used to think it was a terrible thing. I've never really had a home. I never felt like I had a home, like I am
mhm,
home. I feel like home. But I've come
mhm,
to realize it's within me, you know.
mm,
I
yeah,
am my home.
yes,
And so
yeah,
once you really feel that within you, then the outside, it's not going to affect you as much. And when
right,
something
right.
does, then that's a real good place to dig deep. And
Yeah,
this is
it's a
something we've
moment of
talked about a
discovery.
lot, because it's like, wow,
Yeah,
that affected me, and that was a
yeah,
surprise. So that's somewhere I need to look. And that's an
yeah,
exciting thing, right? That's an exciting thing. Like, that really
yeah,
made me mad, or that really upset me. Why? Let's dig
yeah,
deeper. Where did that
yes,
come from? You know? And
yes,
I love that. And
I
something,
do too.
I just had a hypnotherapy session with a student, um, and she's
Outstanding.
going places, because I'll tell you, she got me to places that I was shocked. So,
That's
and it was one
outstanding.
session, and I'm going to work with her again.
That's
So I
great.
saw stuff, and stuff came up that I was surprised by. And
Yeah,
and it just goes to show too, like, I certainly, nobody really, like, I don't even think people like, the monks and these spiritual teachers and gurus and stuff that we know the names of, you know nobody here that we can see and talk to are fully enlightened or awakened. I don't believe. We all,
mhm,
there's always more, for
mhm,
everybody. if you're a
Yeah.
human on this earth. you know,
Yes.
so
Yes.
I by no means am thinking that I know it all or I'm completely, awakened or anything. But
Well, that shut down.
I was shocked of what came up for me that, just had
Yeah.
no idea that there was
The
that was
That's
deep
the
in there.
amazing part of life, like, that's the
Yeah.
beauty of life, is to be excited for more, to be
Yeah. Oh my
happy,
gosh, yes.
yeah, to be happy, to be satisfied, and yet at the same time, always looking for more and
Yeah.
wanting more. I mean, inherently, that's how we are built, and knowing that there's not some one destination to get to
Right.
actually opens up possibilities.
Yeah.
Because if you think this is the one spot you gotta get, then
Right.
it's like the carrot's always going to be
Right.
taken a little bit farther, and
Well,
you're
it's just
never
like
gonna
the
get a
trans
hold of it.
community, like you were saying,
Yes.
that one spot is not the transition.
Yes.
That one area of your life is not going to suddenly change everything.
Absolutely, and
Same
I
thing.
thought it was,
Right.
that's why I feel like
Yeah.
I relate so much to the community, and my heart breaks for people that
Mm,
regret their transition, to have gone through so
yeah.
much
Yeah.
and to realize that that didn't
That did
hold
feel it. Yeah.
what you believed it did. Like, I know
And
what that feels like, hopeless,
yeah.
you know?
And the same with the recovery community. Okay,
Yes.
now I'm not addicted, but this didn't change my whole life. I'm still not,
Right.
everything hasn't
Right.
changed and opened up for me.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. So, let me ask
Exactly.
you something,
Mhm.
so when you are working with or you come across whether it's accounts on TikTok or something or whether it's
Mhm.
people in your daily life that you speak to
Mhm.
physically that that are transgender,
Mhm.
um, can you tell when somebody is hanging all their happiness on that transition? Can you tell already, even though they can't tell that? Are you able to say,
Yeah.
This person is feeling like this is the end all be all to my
Yeah.
greater happiness?
Yeah, and it's pretty easy to do in the way that if you talk to somebody who is pre-medical transition, who's
Uh huh.
super excited, and I see this a lot on TikTok. So
Uh
we have
huh.
a lot of those accounts. When
Right.
I see that excitement, and I start to see that frustration, when that excitement lends over to the frustration,
Mm-hmm.
that's because things aren't happening fast enough, and
Yeah.
that's when you can tell, okay, there's a lot being built on this,
Yeah.
and it's a great, like, flag, that a great
Mm-hmm.
place that, you could begin a conversation with
Yeah.
someone,
I've
because,
seen quite a few that they're very depressed and they're putting it out there
Yes.
for everybody
Yes.
and it's just post surgery, still in that
Yeah.
healing and and a lot of it is I think with any surgery, there is because it's a lot on your body
Oh,
and your soul,
yes.
I think, to
Yes.
go through
Oh,
major
yes.
surgery. So,
Yes.
and this is part of, even women that have cesarean sections, they think of it as just another form of birth, but it really is major surgery,
Yes.
So you go through this depression, but then
Yes.
the
It's very
trans
real.
community can be thinking this is, maybe this was a mistake or starting to feel like, why isn't everything changing? So there's
Yeah.
really kind of you know, it's definitely not there isn't ever one thing that's going to change your whole
Right.
life,
No,
but
never.
there's always different steps to it, and that may be one of the steps to it. But I think that also people need to realize that after surgery, post surgery, no matter what kind of surgery, you're probably going to go through a little depression. It's
Yeah.
really takes a toll on your physical
Yeah.
and mental and
It
your
does.
soul, your spiritual
And
self. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it does. It gets, it can be kind of exhausting, and there
Yeah.
can be, like you said, things that come up. There are going to be feelings that you have about,
Yeah.
those body parts that, you're not going to anticipate. And
Right.
with
And
no protocol for someone to come and say, look, you may feel this way.
yeah.
And, it doesn't mean that you were wrong to do this, but you're going through a big change.
Right.
I think that we can still gather people even, throughout this whole process, because that's another thing, way that you can see a red flag in someone who, again, at a different stage in transition, maybe they are starting to look more like, and now it's more surgical, when you can see
Mhm.
then that they're still building on
Mhm.
that, is where you can still kind of grab and guide in a way that, we can, even if you get yourself to that place of hopelessness. So you've had a surgery and all of a sudden you don't wake up and the world's changed. And
Right.
instead of getting, you know, deep into depression and begin to identify the surgery as the villain,
Yeah.
just realize that the surgery was not all there was to it,
Right.
and that
It's
there's
it's not
still,
it's not the villain and
yeah,
it's not the hero. It's not either on
right,
either side of it. It's
right,
one
right,
step
right.
in the
It's a
process of your
process.
life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's just one piece of the whole
Yeah.
puzzle. And if you
Right.
can begin to see that
Yeah.
versus, expecting this to change everything, and you
Yeah.
can really start working on, because even as a trans person, I started realizing how many beliefs I had about what masculinity was.
Yeah. I
And
can
all
imagine.
of and it wasn't on a soul level, it was on a surface level.
Mm.
And the deeper that I got to my own soul, and the deeper I began to truly know myself, and give myself that opportunity to know myself, because I have not
Mhm.
only been wearing a mask for the world since I was 4 years old, I've been wearing a mask for me
Right.
since I was 4 years old, and knew that
Mhm.
body don't match and what's happening.
Yeah.
So getting to take that off and start to learn for maybe the first time
Yeah.
who I am, aside from this body, and this
Right.
trauma, and this story, and this
Right.
addiction, and this, all these different things,
Yeah.
you know, that becomes the fun part, and finding out that all of the things that I thought made something masculine
Mhm.
is not at all
Yeah.
of those surface things that make
Yeah.
them masculine or feminine, to the point that it all just kind of bleeds together into the point, and femininity is not at all what I thought it was.
Mm.
And that there's not actions that make you feminine or
Right.
masculine, that those are, and so that it all ends up blending together to where gender is so not as
Right.
important
More
as it seems
neutral
to be
and
way up here.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And who we are as people. I think that's that's been a part of the trans experience that's not talked about enough,
Yeah,
that
this is
that
great.
I
This
don't
is
hear
this is
about.
good stuff here. Yeah.
Yeah, because if nobody's talking about it, nobody's thinking about it, and then there's too many unsaid regrets that go on, and
Yeah.
we've got to, help each other in our community. We're talking about suicide. That means,
Mhm.
when you stop to think about an 8-year-old person
I know.
who's already so ashamed of their perceived difference, that they immediately go into resistance about it, and then, have to spend, they can't even fathom a life
I know.
after that, after 8 years old. Like, that's just not okay. It's not okay
That's
for any
not
of us.
okay.
And it doesn't have to be that way. And, maybe we could talk about stuff, and people can just
That's the
become,
hope. That's the hope. Yeah.
it's too much. Like, we all need to be together in ways
Mhm.
versus separate and apart. And
Right, looking at all the similarities more so than the
yes,
differences and have a curiosity rather than a judgment, It's like
yeah,
to want to learn more and to want to try to understand as much as you can rather than just stand in judgment because you don't understand,
yeah,
And
yeah,
recognizing that those the hate and whatever those limiting beliefs and that recognizing that that comes from some seed that was planted somewhere. That root
hmm,
came from a seed long ago that grew and grew
yeah,
and grew. And to be able to recognize that and look within rather than being so concerned with who drank the Kool-Aid, rather than being so concerned with what, everyone around you. But I think it's such a great mirror, like you've said, that that the look at the people around you, and you noticing, this past year, the people around you, and especially for recovery soul food, the
Yeah,
just having that sort of divine, just letting people come, and
yeah,
taking it, um to a sort of a different level, and look at all that's happened in the recovery soul food community. And the
yeah,
recovery community has really
yes,
grown as far as the options, and just these
yes.
different apps and these different platforms, and it's more than what it was when you were in recovery,
Oh
and just
gosh,
even
yes,
5 years ago, and
yes,
there's just so much out there now, that there's really
yes.
a lot of hope for people in recovery now.
So
And
true.
so where I was going with this, I think, was, that the what's going on around you and what you're noticing and your awareness, that's a good mirror to where you are inside. And
Yes.
that's where you can gauge, and that's how you can say, I am growing, I am becoming more aware because of these people around me. But the opposite is true too. If you notice a lot of hate around you, if you notice a lot of, just nastiness, just evil, whatever it is, that's a mirror of you. So, if
Mm-hmm.
you're finding yourself feeling those things, and you're noticing your groups around you are expressing that as well, that's a time to really look within, and
Yeah.
if you're even noticing that, that's a sign that you're already
Yeah.
taking a little step on that,
Yes. Yeah.
taking a little
Yeah.
step towards wiping that mustache off.
So,
So yeah.
so true. I mean, Martin
Yeah.
John, we talked about action, this
Mhm.
need to take action, but it's it's more than getting up and taking these big public steps in
Right.
change, and more
There's a
about,
balance. Yeah.
just yeah, just let that, kind of come in and sit with that, and
Sit with it. Mhm.
and work through, through that, and versus taking these big public, okay, I'm changing now, I'm
Right.
changing my life now,
Yeah.
you know, and we can do they
Everybody.
look at me.
Yeah.
It just makes more I don't know, it solidifies more the way that you start to build your true authenticity. And
Yeah.
I don't like necessarily being perceived as authentic because I'm trans in public. I want people to see the heart of me to be
Right.
an authentic heart, like what, you know.
Regardless of your
Yes, yes, yes,
transgender
yes,
or recovery. Yeah.
yes. See, I was very aware of both your heart and Martin John's heart, when I was first meeting you. The first
Mhm.
conversation I had about Martin John, we talked about, him making the documentary, and what stuck with me is because he said trans in ministry. And at the
Yeah.
time, my plan was to go be a person
Yeah.
in ministry. And but
I love that.
so that really, really connected with me with him. And
Mhm.
then listening to what he said, I could feel that this came from a place of, like, from his heart, like from his core,
Yeah.
not from what he was supposed to say, not to
Right.
be politically correct, and
Right.
all of that. It just came. It
Yeah.
was all easy for him.
Yeah.
And
It was a part of
and
him.
that was, yeah, it was a
Mhm.
part of him. And that was the same, when I met you and your heart about all of
Mhm.
this, and just the ways that we connected. You could
Yeah.
recognize, the core and the heart of a person. And that means a lot. That means that
Yeah.
what's said to me through either of you, and I've got, a couple other people in my life like
Yeah.
that, what's said through you to me, I know is for my ultimate and best good.
Yeah.
And I hope that you feel the same back. And that's what I want an
Absolutely.
audience to feel back,
Yeah.
is that what I'm saying to you is authentic, because it's coming
Yeah.
from the heart of me, not
Right.
that it's because I can do my shadow work in public.
Mhm.
Like, it takes, yeah, it takes courage to to make a change like this. I will not
Yes.
deny that in any way. It does take courage, and you do face a lot of opposition.
Mhm.
Now I'm getting to the place where, and I hope that other trans people see this, but I'm getting to the place where I'm having to show ID. And so my ID gender doesn't look like it matches me as a gender. And so
Mhm.
there's that new avenue that's opening up to me, this new experience of, okay, I feel this anxiety every time I have to do this. Now,
Right.
how do I work with that? How do I work with the anxiety and, you know,
And
and
that
stuff?
shows other people too. Like, I would never even think I would have no anxiety about showing my ID. I wouldn't even think about it. It's like, oh, okay.
Right,
And and it's
right,
and there's so many things that transgender people go through on a daily basis that cisgender people don't even consider. It's not even at all in their awareness. So that's
right,
a huge part of why I'm an ally too, is because people need to realize of what just daily life is, for and I can't fully understand. I never will, but I can empathize with with what transgender people have to go through in a lot of places. Now, again,
yeah,
here, and I've said this before, you can see people walking in the store that, are transgender, or you don't know. You can't tell what they are, and that's
mhm,
okay. And you can see, a lesbian couple or a gay couple. Nobody bats an eye. It's just
mhm,
common. It's just common.
mhm,
You're going to see, you know, a man in a dress, or somebody that looks more like male in a dress, or you're going to
mhm,
see a woman, that looks like a woman but is dressed more masculine.
mhm,
Nobody's going to give a second look to either one of those people,
yeah,
or
yeah,
somebody that you can't even tell really what
yeah,
gender they are. Um, so let
yeah,
me ask you, what would you say to people that are in transition, or and they have friends and they have family and they have people around them in their life?
mhm.
How can they tell that somebody is a true ally or not? How would they be able to tell that?
Well, I think that it really starts to come with how you feel.
Yeah.
Like you as the person, what
Hmm.
is your inherent feeling about this other human being that you're now in a conversation with? I mean, neither none of the really true allies that are in my life right now have ever been people that have fallen all over me
Hmm.
because I was trans. You
Hmm.
know, that they did not have to explain to me why they were such good allies and accepting, that they
Hmm.
did not have to do this big spectacle. And I think that's one of the ways that, because I don't want to say they're not a true ally, but they may need a little more coaching and
Yeah.
guiding
Like
if
if
you're
it's over the
willing to give
top
it.
kind of a
Right,
thing.
right,
Yeah.
right. It's not to say that they're not true allies, but they're not true allies yet.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to decide how much coaching you want to do, or how, can you risk feeling offense sometimes in
Yeah.
the teaching or the helping of them to kind of learn how to be with you. But I would say trust your feeling. You're not a
Yeah.
sideshow. You don't owe anybody answers to questions that are
Yeah.
ultimately offensive, that they would not in a
Yeah.
million years ask another human being.
Yeah.
Like, don't find your fame by being, someone's spectacle.
Mhm.
That's not what you have to be in order to be accepted.
Yeah.
Um, and so I would say trust your true heart, your gut.
Mhm.
Let someone show you who they are versus having
Yeah.
to extensively tell you who they are, because
Yeah.
people that are who they are just are. you
Yeah.
know? People that need to make you think something, they're they're too much. They've
Yeah.
got they're trying too hard to make you think they're okay with you.
Yeah.
And that's not really necessary. So trust
Right.
your gut, trust your feeling. Look around at your friends, because a lot of young trans people find themselves in these groups, and they're
Mhm.
so desperate to feel accepted, because,
Mhm.
it's lonely when you're
Yeah.
not. And when you're young and you're a kid, that's the thing to be, is accepted. That, they
Yeah.
don't
Right.
know how to be alone and happy with themselves, so they're
Right.
trying. And so a lot of trans kids, or even gay kids, will fall into this trap with these people that make them the sideshow,
Right.
that
Or
have them hang around.
the token friend, just
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
To
whether
to
it's,
so you
like
can
we've talked about, whether it's the token black friend, the token
right.
whatever, gay friend,
Right.
trans
Right.
friend, whatever it is,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So young people, you
Minority,
don't yeah, you don't have to put yourselves in those situations,
yeah.
that's not true acceptance. That's
Right.
using you for something else. And there's a true group for you. There's true acceptance,
Right.
but sometimes you'll miss it, hanging out in these other, make two crowds that just want to exploit
Yeah.
you.
And
Um,
how would they, I think, so two things. So
mhm,
I've experienced that, to where certain friends I have to feel like I have to, you come away from a
mhm,
conversation, or you come away from time with them, and you're just, you feel drained, or you feel icky for some
yes.
reason, and you just
Yeah.
have to be aware of that, and
Yeah.
either look deeper, or just sort of distance yourself until you figure that out, because you don't want to disrupt your own energy, and there's a
Right.
reason that you feel that way, so pay attention
Yes.
to it. And
Yes.
so that goes for anybody and everybody, but that is a good
Yes.
way as well with allies and LGBTQ community as a
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, for sure.
also, I think, how would that group, or how would that friend, how do you what do you think they would do, or how would they react if you suddenly dropped out of their life?
Mhm.
Would they
Mm.
talk about you bad then? Or
Right.
would
Right.
they, find another token friend and then not
Right.
even be your friend? If you
Right.
decided,
Right.
or if you were going through a rough time, how do they
Mhm.
help you to,
Yeah.
how do they help you, as a friend,
Yeah.
just as a friend, not just a friend. Just a
Do
friend,
these
just a
people grow
soulmate
me?
friend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do these people
Yeah.
feed my soul? Like we were
Yes.
talking about, and you had
Mhm.
these two podcasts, one after the other, and I was like,
Yep.
don't wear yourself out. And then it was more like, well, actually, this is what feeds my soul. So
Yes.
this is
Yes.
the opposite of wearing myself out.
Absolutely.
So that's the kind
Absolutely.
of thing, and to feel within yourself of, are you feeding your soul with these people, or is it,
Mhm.
going against your
Yeah.
well-being altogether? And you
Yeah,
can
because when
feel
you
that if you pay
oh,
attention.
yeah. When
Mhm.
you compromise your own integrity for this false sense of acceptance,
Yeah.
you feel that within you. And the more that you do that, the more you start denying your true self in honor of this external fix, if you will,
Yeah.
this living under
Yeah.
the influence of this false acceptance. And
Yeah.
and it generally
That's a
takes
yeah.
something drastic to happen. And
Mhm.
then, then you go through something huge, and there's no
Mhm.
telling what it can be. I mean, we know some people in the trans community have lost their lives from
Yeah.
going through that big transition and
Mhm.
stuff. So, I think that it's it's far more important to take care of your own integrity and
Mm.
soul at this point in your life, even though it's hard. Like, that's why a
Yeah.
support network is so vital, because there are decisions, especially for younger people that identify as trans.
Yeah.
There are going to be so many things that come up in life
Yeah.
for at least a certain time, and probably forever, that no one else is going to understand but someone else living in it. And when you can find some people that have wisdom, or older, and can support you
Right.
in a lot of
Yeah,
things,
find a
it can
mentor.
save you. Yes, find a mentor. That's what you need. A transgender mentor.
Yes.
That's exactly what you need. But find
Yeah.
somebody that's willing to help and guide you through these things. Don't try to
Yeah.
navigate it alone
Don't
and
be
don't
afraid
think
to
you're
reach
supposed to
out.
speak up. No, because if you don't speak up, then you're going through things, you're building perceptions and stories in your life, and your life starts to reflect that. And so
Yeah.
try to do our best to find these national places, because a lot of people live in small towns. There's not a
Yeah.
support group, but there
Well,
may
luckily,
be one.
internet too, though, now.
Yeah, because there's a lot of trans groups, and just a public service announcement that
Mm.
meet in secret because they have to keep
Mhm.
everyone safe. So there are
Yeah.
ways, and to find different support groups, and again, look
Yeah.
online and
And
just
people can
be
contact you.
mindful. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You can always, we got TikTok and Instagram, Transgender Mentor. I mean, we're on Facebook. We've got a private Facebook group
Mhm.
as well, that
Very
you can
safe.
join to be in that safe space. It's private.
Mhm.
Your stuff doesn't have to go out. And if you have questions,
Right.
send them to me there. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't I don't mind answering any type of question that is respectful, and especially
Right.
from someone else who identifies,
Mhm.
or feels like they are transgendered. They can
Yeah.
ask me any questions, because that was hard to find answers to when I
Mhm.
was looking into, you know,
Yeah.
the whole
Support
process.
system.
It
Yeah.
was I never
Mhm.
found anything that was of real big substance other than
Yeah.
timeline photos. Well, this is me
Mhm.
as a girl, and this is me
Right.
now, and and processes. You could
Yeah.
find the processes of surgical things, but nobody was talking about, that deafening anxiety you feel when you get asked for your identification, and
Right.
now you're going
Yeah.
to have to either go through some kind of situation that's going to call massive attention to you. You could be
Mhm.
harmed, you could be congratulated, you can be whatever, or you
And
could,
you just don't know.
you don't know. So
Yeah.
there is a true anxiety that comes up there, and
Yeah.
we can work through that. You can work through that, and there's and having someone to help you navigate through some of those
Right.
processes, I think, is important too.
Yeah.
you know
So,
because go
go ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just
After
gonna
you.
s I was gonna say, I was thinking about I see a lot of trans community in relationships, and they're younger people, and they're in their transition, and the relationship itself may not be ideal, but
Mhm.
people will stay in those so tight because it's hard to find somebody that they feel
It's
accepts them,
accepting. Yeah.
where they have not had really a relationship where they were open with who they were.
Yes.
And even
Yes.
though this relationship may not be ideal or even healthy for them, they stay in it
Yes.
because they're like clinging to it. So I think that's another area that we should probably touch on. So I know we're getting close to our time now, but I mean,
Yeah. Well,
relationships to
for sure.
still take care of yourself in relationships,
Yes.
and talking about, asking for help and reaching out to these mentors or these
Mhm.
um these inspiring older people who have been through transition uh, or these mentors or these inspirational people. I
Mhm.
think that a lot of transgender kids have been in their own stuff so tight and so secret and have to deal with it themselves a lot that they're
Yes.
just really not used to asking for anything. Like, I should be able to handle
Absolutely.
this. This is like a secret that I'm
Yeah, this is
trying
my
to.
secret. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so reaching out to somebody, even though it's somebody that has been through this, it's still
Mhm.
kind of a maybe a feeling of shame to have to
Sure.
say, "Hey, can you help me with this?" Or they might not even
Sure.
know what it is. I'm not feeling right, and I know I'm going through this, and maybe they don't have the words for what it is that they really want to ask for help for.
Yeah.
So it's hard
The
to reach out.
majority of
So
them won't. Yeah. The
okay,
majority
okay,
the
so
majority of them won't know what to actually, like, reach out for, or to ask,
yeah,
or if this is common, or because
yeah.
I remember asking the question, and I got no response.
Mm.
In my trans support group, if anyone had questioned their transition early in the process, or did anyone had anyone else had a moment where it all got really real, where
Yeah.
it left being an idea, where it left being, a fantasy and started becoming real, where all of a
Yeah.
sudden the realness of the entire situation came in on you at once and you
Mhm.
panicked. And
Mm.
I got no support or
Ugh.
answer for that. And I was going through that and I
Yeah.
wasn't sure, what was happening. Was I did I have the grit to do this? Did I have the
Yeah.
grit to, do this while working with my family every day and working for
Yeah.
customers that were going to be also witness to
Notice,
this?
right.
And how many of them were any of them going to reject me coming in their house?
Mhm.
You know, am I was I going to
Yeah.
be constantly misgendered? I mean, all of these things came kind of, coming on down on me at once, just
Yeah.
one night out of the blue,
Mm.
and I didn't know how to process it.
Yeah.
And I when I didn't get any feedback, I thought, oh my gosh, so this is just my
So
problem.
I'm the
So I'm
only
all by
one going
myself.
through this? Yeah.
So I'm the
Yeah.
only one. And that's when I
Mhm.
just started to do something publicly for
Yeah.
the whole emotional transition, because I just couldn't find it and couldn't
Yeah.
see it. And I wanted somebody else to know that that's a very real part of
Yeah.
this. You don't
That's great.
transition alone.
Right.
People transition with you, and those,
Yeah.
you kind of, while in search of you, you've got to, build up a lot. It's going to
Yeah.
take a lot within you, and it's going
Mhm.
to take far more than you currently think if you're not
Yeah.
already in it.
Yeah.
But you can do it, and there is some help, and it doesn't matter if the help is ideal. If
Mhm.
you can just get not alone
Yeah.
and reach out to somebody,
Right.
sometimes that's
Even if
enough.
even if you reach out and say, "I'm struggling. I don't know
Mm,
what I need. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if this is a problem or if this is
mhm.
normal." Just to say, "Hey, I'm reaching out. I heard you say that, on the podcast, or I heard, whatever. I
Yeah.
saw that it's okay to reach out to you, so I'm reaching out."
Yeah.
You just say that. That's
Yeah.
okay. You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if there are honestly, if there are parents that have young,
Yeah.
or preteen or teenage, children that identify as trans, finding them,
Mhm.
an older trans mentor is
Yeah.
a great idea for a healthy whole,
Mhm.
you know, situation, because
Yeah.
we don't need to lose people to feeling like
No.
they're hopeless,
Yeah.
or feeling like they're tired of carrying shame, or that they're tired
Yeah.
of being hated, or they're tired of being ostracized, and they're
Yeah.
tired of, these things.
Yeah.
That's not a life that anybody deserves to live. And so
No. And it's great
let's
for
learn.
parents to see that there are adult transgender people that are living their
That is
lives,
very true. That is very, very true. And it's vital for them to see that there
Mhm.
is hope for their children,
Yes, yes.
and that it's all for a purpose. If you're a family that has a child that identifies as trans, there is something big happening in your family. There is a
Mhm.
big healing of some type of whole generational thing that's happening
Right.
within your family. Let's stop looking at the complete opposition and
Yes.
and dreading what we're going to go through, and realize that this is a huge opportunity for,
Right.
the evolution of
For
this entire
the
family.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
I
just like the individual too. I mean, like we've said so many times that
Yes,
it's an opportunity for growth.
yes,
And so
yes.
if the family can look at it that way, like, okay, we're all going through this together. Let's figure it out.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Exactly,
let's do it.
exactly. I love it.
Awesome.
Well, again, I love it. Another great conversation
Yes,
coming to
yes.
a close. My cup is overfilled at this point.
Awesome.
I appreciate this restful Saturday and the end to this with amazing wisdom.
Yeah.
I will still be digesting these conversations 2 weeks
Yeah.
from now. So I love them when they're like that. They
Absolutely.
hold the gifts keep coming and keep coming. So thank you once again for
Thank
joining me
you. Thank
here.
you.
This is Pamela Topjian, and she is the creator of hypnobreakthrough.com. And if you want to have a full free hypnotherapy session with Pamela, then you contact her, tell her you are a part of the Transgender Mentor Tribe, and she is going to hook you up with that full free session. Now, hypnotherapy is been vital in my whole process throughout. I love it. I am a fan, and Pamela is absolutely operating within her purpose when she is doing that. And you are doing many other things right now with yourself too. I love it.
Growth
Pamela's
is
written a
happening all
book
around me. Yeah.
everywhere. So make sure that you check out Pamela's book. I didn't come this far to only come this far. Available on Amazon and
Thank
Kindle.
you.
Make
Thank
sure
you.
you visit her Reddit store where she sells her art. I'm
It's
going.
Redbubble.
I love it. Redbubble. It's not Reddit. See, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know
that's okay.
all this techno talk.
I don't have anything on
uh,
Reddit.
Okay. I don't even know what it is there. So thank you for correcting that. I'd have sent
That's all
people the
right.
wrong spot. They'd have never found Pamela's art on Reddit. Make sure you contact Pamela. Follow her on Instagram. She's a beautiful
Thank
human
you.
soul. And
Thank
I'm
you.
so grateful that she's my friend and that you do this with me. Thank you so much.
My
Thank
honor.
you. Thank you.
My
Thank
honor.
you. Well, everybody, this has been an amazing Saturday night. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, join Pamela and I 2 weeks from today. Well, maybe 2 weeks
Friday?
from yesterday. Yeah, we're going to try to go for a Friday.
Yeah.
Um, and so join us 2 weeks from Friday for another transgender mentor. And in the meantime, we got some recovery soul food happening live every Saturday night. Make sure you go and get involved with the Sober app. You can download it on the Apple App Store right now. And if you are an Android or desktop or web browser user, go to the sober.passion.io and start your life in recovery today. There is something there for every part of your experience. So get to it. Find me in Martin John, Recovery Soul Food, and recover yourself. I love you. Thank you so much, Pamela. This is an amazing, amazing thing we do here. And I'm so grateful that you are a part of it. I'm really, really grateful. Thank you. All right, everybody. We shall see you next time. Until then, bye.